Let's take our seats and quiet down. Sunday school is about to begin. Today's lesson is Liber Had, one of two Crowley rituals, Liber Nu and Liber Had, that I include as in my chapter of the Magick of Aleister Crowley, under the chapter heading Thelemic Mysticism. Now, even though both of these are technically rituals, as you found out yesterday with Liber Nu, these are hardly your run-of-the-mill rituals. They are more along the lines of intense mystical meditations on two very, very profound and abstract subjects: the universe ultimately expanded and the universe ultimately contracted, seen as two gods: Nuit, the goddess of the night sky, and Hadit, the central point in everything. Now, obviously, if the infinite outness of Nuit is infinite, and the infinite inness of Hadit is infinite, then both these infinites are infinitely touching. Now, that is lovemaking on a cosmic scale. The friction created by the meeting of the infinite out and the infinite in, I picture as creating a vibration that creates the field of operation for events to occur in space-time. And that would be their child. That vibration would be their child. And we could look at the 3 chapters of the Book of the Law as being the infinite out in chapter 1, the infinite in chapter 2, and the field of operation for that to actually result in the manifestation of creation or existence as we know it, would be chapter 3. So certainly not limited to that way of looking at things. But anyway, today we are reading chapter Liber Had, and yesterday I tried to ping pong back and forth between the verses of the Book of the Law that each of the different sections of Liber Nu referred to, and it was a bit awkward and a bit long. Yesterday's reading was over a half hour long. So today I've posted a version of Constance reading the second chapter, and it appears just below this video on my Facebook page, hoping that you would refresh yourself with the highlights of the second chapter, so that today's reading of Liber Had will make more sense to you. But be that as it may, hopefully I'll be able to go through Liber Had a little bit faster than yesterday's reading. Okay. Now, if you recall, yesterday's reading, Liber Nu, started off with the sentence, "This is the book of the cult of the infinite without." Well, this Liber Had starts off with, "This is the book of the cult of the infinite within." And if you'll remember from yesterday, for Liber Nu, the aspirant is Hadit. Okay? And in this ritual, the aspirant is Nuit. So the aspirant in Liber Nu is Hadit, and the aspirant in Liber Had is Nuit. Nuit is the infinite expansion of the rose, Hadit, the infinite contraction of the root. That's instruction of VVVVV. First, let the aspirant learn by heart the second chapter of the Book of the Law. That's another instruction from VVVV. Okay, number 1. Worship, or in other words, identify with Nuit as a lambent flame of blue, all touching, all penetrant, her lovely hands upon the black earth and her lithe body arched for love, and her soft feet not hurting the little flowers, even as she is imagined or imaged in the stele of revealing. There she is, the big tall arch of the night sky. This is the first meditation, first practice of meditation. 2, let him further identify himself with the heart of Nuit, whose ecstasy is in that of her children, and her joy is to see the joy. Okay, hang on. I'm going to digress. Okay, then picture yourself as the heart of Nuit. Right there. That's that winged solar globe. Now, as you're identifying with that, as you're identifying yourself with Nuit as a lambent flame of blue, all touching, all penetrant, her lovely hands upon the black earth and her lithe body arch for love, you further identify yourself with the heart of Nuit, whose ecstasy is in that of her children. So this is not only a visualization of an image of this winged globe at the heart of Nuit. You're shooting for a feeling, an identity, okay, whose joy is to see the joy of her children. Years ago, early 80s, we were following the Angels baseball team, our local California team here. And it's close enough. We could just get in the car and just drive up one street for a few miles and go to a ball game. And we were, the whole family and the whole lodge, we made it lodge field trips and stuff. We had a wonderful time for a few years, and the Angels were winning too. But anyway, it was our joy to go to the baseball game, and our son Jean-Paul, who was in middle school at the time, and you know how difficult middle school is. It's traumatic for all of us. But anyway, opening day of baseball game was on a school day, and I got tickets to the ball game for all of us, but Jean-Paul had to go to school. Okay, and he didn't know that I got tickets. I kept it secret because I didn't know whether I could get him out of school. But anyway, he was at this nightmarish sort of junior high, where they, were flushing heads down toilets and things like that. And I called the school. And I said, I have to pick Jean-Paul up at 10 o'clock this morning because there's a family emergency. And so I went to the school office at 10 o'clock, and they went in. They felt very bad, of course, or concerned. And they went and got him, and they didn't tell him why or anything else. And Jean-Paul came out of out of the hallway with the principal, and he didn't know what was going on. I took him in hand, and we walked out. Just got outside the front door of the school, and I said, "We're going to the ball game." And the look on his face, the joy on his face, was and still is, remains the happiest moment of my life. My joy is to see your joy. That's what we're shooting for here, where it says, let him further identify himself with the heart of Nuit, whose ecstasy is in that of her children, and her joy is to see their joy, who saith, I love you, I yearn to you, pale or purple, veiled or voluptuous, I, who am all pleasure and purple and drunkenness of the innermost sense, desire you. Put on the wings and arouse the coiled splendor within you. Come unto me, sing the rapturous love song unto me. Burn to me perfumes, wear to me jewels, drink to me, for I love you, I love you. I am the blue-lidded daughter of sunset. I am the naked brilliance of the voluptuous night sky. To me, to me. This is the second practice of meditation. Point 3. Let the aspirant apply himself to comprehend Hadit as an unextended point clothed with light ineffable. And let him beware lest he be dazzled by that light. This is the first practice of intelligence. Point 4. Let the aspirant apply himself to comprehend Hadit as the ubiquitous center of every possible sphere conceivable. Imagine existence itself, the cosmos itself, as a giant bowl of caviar. Thousands, billions, infinite number of spheres, of globes. And at the heart of every one of those is their Hadit. The ubiquitous center of every sphere conceivable. This is the second practice of intelligence. Point 5. Let the aspirant apply himself to comprehend Hadit as the soul of every man and of every star, conjoining this in his understanding with the word. Every man and every woman is a star. Let this conception be that of life, the giver of life, and let him perceive that therefore the knowledge of Hadit is the knowledge of death. This is the third practice of intelligence. Point 6. Let the aspirant apply himself to comprehend Hadit as the magician or the maker of illusion, and the exorcist or the destroyer of illusion, under the figure of the axle of the wheel and the cube in the circle. Also as the universal soul of motion. This conception harmonizes Thoth and Harpocrates in a very complete and miraculous manner. Thoth is both the magus of the tarot and the universal Mercury. Harpocrates, both the destroyer of Typhon and the babe on the lotus. Notice the ibis position formulates this conception most exactly. That's where you stand on one leg and hold your finger up like that. And the leg you're standing on is standing on a crocodile. This is the fourth practice of intelligence. Point 7. Let the aspirant apply himself to comprehend Hadith as the perfect, that is not, and solve the mysteries of the numbers of Hadith and his components by his right ingenuum. Okay, I am going to refer to this 15 and 16 here, because Crowley would have you contemplating the mysteries of number. For I am perfect, be not. Big capital N-O-T. For I am perfect, being not, and my number is 9 by the fools, but with the just I am 8, and 1 in 8. Which is vital, for I am none indeed. The empress and the king are not of me, for there is a further secret. I am the empress and the hierophant. Thus 11, as my bride is 11. Okay, well, there's a lot to chew on and to fill your diary notes. But that is, where was I? Let the aspirant apply himself to comprehend Hadith as the perfect, that is not, and solve the mystery of the numbers of Hadith and his components by his right ingenuum. Now, Crowley is not presuming to interpret that for you. You're to endeavor to solve the mystery of those letters, because that's the fifth practice of intelligence. Let the aspirant, bearing him as a great king, root out and destroy without pity all things in himself and his surroundings, which are weak, dirty, or diseased, or otherwise unworthy, and let him be exceedingly proud and joyous. This is the first practice of ethics, and it refers to verse 18, 19, 20, and 21. Okay, those are the sections of the Book of the Law that are seized upon and interpreted superficially to try to say that Crowley is advocating some kind of fascist social Darwinism with his Thelema. We have nothing with the outcast and the unfit. Let them die in their misery, for they feel not. Compassion is the vice of kings. Stamp all that stuff, okay? And here in the meditation on this chapter, it says, let the aspirant, bearing him as a great king, root out and destroy without pity all things in himself and his surroundings. All things in himself and his surroundings that are dirty, diseased, or otherwise unworthy, and let him be exceedingly proud and joyous. Point 9. Let the aspirant apply himself to comprehend Hadith as the snake that giveth delight and knowledge, and bright glory, who stirreth the hearts of men with drunkenness. This snake is blue and gold, its eyes are red, and its spangles green and ultraviolet. That is the most exalted form of the serpent, Kundalini. And that's the sixth practice of intelligence. Let him further, point 10, let him further identify himself with this snake. This is the second practice of meditation. Let the aspirant take wine and strange drugs according to his knowledge and experience, and be drunk thereof. Crowley's note says the aspirant should be so sensitive, be in so sensitive a condition that a single drop, perhaps even the smell should suffice. This is the first practice of magic art. Point 12. Let the aspirant concentrate his consciousness in the rude cross set up upon the mountain and identify himself with it. Let him be well aware of the difference between its own soul and that thought which it habitually awakes in his own mind. Because that's the third practice of meditation. And, as it will be found, a comprehension and harmony and absorption of the practice of intelligence. Point 13. Let the aspirant apply himself so to comprehend Hadith as the unity which is the negative. Ein Elohim, Crowley says. It's the seventh practice of intelligence. 14. Let the aspirant live the life of a strong and beautiful being, proud and exalted, contemptuous of and fierce toward all that is base and vile. And that's the second practice of ethics. 15. Let the aspirant apply himself to comprehend Hadith according to the 26th verse of the second chapter of the Book of the Law. And this shall be easy for him if he will have accomplished the third practice of meditation. Okay, 26, verse 26 is, I am the secret serpent coiled about to spring. In my coiling there is joy. If I lift up my head, I and my nuit are one. If I droop down mine head and shoot forth venom, then is rapture of the earth, and I and the earth are one. Point 16. Let the aspirant destroy reason in himself according to the practice of Liber 474. Let me see what that is. Remind myself what that is here. That is footnote 4. Liber OS, Abysm, Vel Da'af. And that's found in Equinox, Volume 1, Number 7. 17. Let the aspirant observe duly the feasts appointed by the AA and perform such rituals of the elements as he possesseth, invoking them duly in their season. That's the second practice of magic art. 18. Let the aspirant apply himself to comprehend Hadith as a babe in the egg of the spirit, acacia, that is invisible within the four elements. That's the ninth practice of intelligence. The aspirant, seated in his asana, will suddenly commence to breathe strangely, and this without the operation of his will. The inspiration will be associated with the thought of intense excitement and pleasure, even to exhaustion, and the expiration very rapid and forceful, as if this excitement were suddenly released. This is the first and last of the sign of the beginning of the result. Point 20. A light will appear to the aspirant unexpectedly. Hadith will arise within him, and Nuit concentrate herself upon him from without. He will be overcome, and the conjunction of the infinite without with the infinite within will take place in his soul, and the one be resolved into the none. This is the first indication of the nature of the result. Point 21. Let the aspirant strengthen his body by all means in his power, and let him with equal pace refine all that is in him to the true ideal of royalty. yet let his formula, as a king's ought, be excess. This is the third practice of ethics. Point 22. To the aspirant who succeeds in this practice, the result goes on increasingly until its climax in his physical death in its due season. This practice should, however, prolong life. This is a second indication of the nature of the result. Point 23. Let the adept aspire to the practice of Liber 11 and preach to mankind. This is the fourth practice of ethics. 24. Let the adept worship the name foursquare, mystic, and wonderful of the beast, and the name of his house, and give blessing and worship to the prophet of the lovely star. This is the fifth practice of ethics. Point 25. Let the aspirant expand his consciousness to that of Nuit and bring it rushing inward. It may be practiced by imagining that the heavens are falling and then transferring his consciousness to them. Wow. Wow. This is the fifth practice of meditation. Okay, here are the summaries, the preliminaries. These are the necessary possessions: wine and strange drugs. Summary of continued preliminaries. These are the necessary comprehensions: the nature of Hadith and of Nuit and the relations between them. Continued. These are the meditations necessary to be accomplished: identification with Nuit, body and spirit; identification with Hadith as the snake; identification with Hadith as the rude cross; destruction of reason; falling of the heavens. These are the ethical practices to be accomplished: the destruction of all unworthiness in oneself and one's surroundings; fullness, almost violence of life. These are the magic arts to be practiced. During the preparation, perform the invocations of the elements and observe the feasts appointed by the AA. The actual practice: procure the suitable intoxication. As Nuit contract herself with infinite force upon Hadith. So, you identify as Nuit. As Nuit, contract thyself with infinite force upon Hadith. The results: peculiar automatic breathing begins, light appears, samadhi of the two infinites within the aspirant, intensification of that samadhi of point 3 on repetition, prolongation of life, death becomes the climax of the practice. The summary concluded: these are the practices to be performed in token of thanksgiving for success. Aspiration to Liber 11. Preaching of Thelema to mankind. And lastly, blessing and worship to the prophet of the lovely star. Well, we went pretty long that time too, but that is the end of Liber Nu and Liber Had. I hope that gives you food for thought. The next ritual, or the next section, is chapter 11, which we talk about the rites of Eleusis in the Magick of Aleister Crowley. Have a great time, everyone. Enjoy. Sunday school is dismissed. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I hope you're all planning fun things to do and constructive and supportive things to do in honor of Earth Day coming up. Until then, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.